back. What's up, everybody? Carolina Keith. Glad to see you all again. Boy, I took a little time off. Had a rough Monday. Had a rough Tuesday. Goodness gracious. What happened, I don't know. Stomach turning upside down on me. It was a rough one on Tuesday, and I got to bed extremely early. And I slept the best I'd slept in a really, really, really long time. So, with all that being said, no more time wasted. Thank you for joining me, and welcome to Charts After Dark. If you haven't been here before, please go hit like. It costs absolutely nothing here to hit Charts After Dark. I like for all the people to see it. The algorithm loves like buttons. Share it around to your favorite social media place. We want everybody to come and learn as much as they can. We want everybody to see as much as they can. Take it all in. Gather as much data as possible to make the best decisions possible. That's what our channel has always been about. That's what it'll always be about. We want people to make as much money as they can on their own. We want to take the power away from the people who are in charge and put people's power into their own hands and let them make good, sound, rational decisions based on data and no other stuff, just data. We don't want emotional decisions. Emotional decisions nearly always cost you money. I've tried to explain this to a lot of people before, but usually when I say it, it falls on deaf ears. Oh, well, but why? And that's probably the number one question I get asked most of the time is why? Why did this do this? Well, why did this do that? And my answer almost every single time is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter why. Why is that important? Why only ever gets you a subjective answer, someone's feelings and not someone's facts. I want everyone to avoid as many feelings as they can and stick to as many facts as they can. Makes sense? I certainly hope it makes sense. So, without further ado, let's jump into this. You guys saw the thumbnail. Netflix was on the thumbnail. I said, hey, should we buy the discount here? Should we take the discount on Netflix? It's down 42% from its high. My goodness. That seems like a great discount, doesn't it? From all the way to the tip top that it had in June. June of 2025, which was just over a year ago, just under a year ago last year. We hit a high of 134 and some change. We're all the way back down to 77%, nearly 50% of a retrace so far. What does that mean? Well, while that's a big discount, it could go farther. And I want to explain this to you. If we go take a look back here to our historical data, and we go back and look at what Netflix did back in 2020, post big fall off in 2019. You know, you had your big everything's shutting down moment in March when everything really, really rolled back aggressively during the pandemic. Then everything marched up really, really aggressively all the way to the end of the bull run where everything slowed down together once they stopped cutting rates and stopped printing money right up at the top. Well, fiscally speaking, the whole world changed and money changed. So things slowed down in every market across the world, pumped the brakes pretty darn hard. We retraced very, very aggressively on Netflix. Looking back in history, we retraced a perfect 1.618 retracement from that pandemic drop. Right there was the bottom. Right there was the top. Right here was the failure. We failed the 821 EMA on the weekly right there. She crossed over downward, and she stayed in a steady pattern of failure and a steady pattern of losing the 8 EMA on the weekly for a very long time. It came all the way down to your 1.618 here, which is a take profit fib in either directions. What would that mean? So this is a short and a clear short, right? Or put options. As the price drives down and gets lower and lower and lower, it really starts to dig in. And you get all the way down in this condition where you get to a place where you go, hey, where can this thing start to bounce? And these three levels, the 1272, the 1414, and the 1.618, which are your reversal levels down low, or take profit levels is what I'm calling them. So you were short. This is where you would start thinking about taking profits. And as you see, it worked almost perfectly, hitting the 1.618 to a T. And that's why I love technical analysis so much. It removes the why and the how and the who and the what, and it doesn't matter. It just sticks us out to data. Interestingly enough, I want you to look at this RSI. My goodness, that weekly RSI was all the way down to 1850 on the weekly. Really, really, really bad. As you see, it was overbought and then immediately very oversold. In fact, triple oversold. 1 spot, 2 spots, and then 3 spots for a triple oversold condition, which is very, very rare. Kind of just begging you to buy it, right? Well, after that, what did we get? Well, we started this run all over again, and we kind of did the exact same thing we did back then. Big fall off and a march up, right? You had your fall off, march up, fall off, march up. It's just lower, higher lows each time. There's your low, and then a higher low, and then a higher low, and then a higher low, and it continued up until it started making lower highs. And that was a high, and then a lower high, and then a lower high, and then a lower high again until that changed, until the trend flipped. We broke the trend right over here, and it really never looked back. So we can also see right here, we got our 821 EMA cross, and back here we had 2 weeks in a row over the 8 EMA. That's very good for price action. It's what you want to see. It's like our first little quick indicator. That's the 821 EMA and the 821 EMA strategy. It's very, very simple. I'm going to sneeze. Hang on. I can feel it building up. Goodness. So the 821 EMA strategy is not very complicated. 2 closes, 2 candles over the 8 EMA, the green line, is a go signal. That's our first go signal. And we can separate that up into 2 by saying we also want to see the 8 EMA cross over the 21 EMA, which is the purple line. And as you see, you've got both of those 2 weeks in a row, and then you got an 821 cross here. Perfect. So now we can pull fibs in the other direction. We had a downtrend, it failed, and now we're going up. So let's pull this all the way out here. There's our high. Here's our low. And I pulled this all the way out here so we get all the way over here to this high so we can see exactly how far this thing printed out. Now you saw on the downward path down here, she went to the 1618. Up here, 1.414. And again, take profit got hit at the 1272. Take profit got hit at the 1414. You never got to take profit at the 1618. And that's why it's so important when things hit the marker there and start to roll over and fail, you have to cut bait. We started getting 2 closes under the 8 EMA right through here. Then we got 2 closes under the 21, which is what we want to see at the top for a short. All right, 2 closes under the 21 was my uh-oh moment. And then at the same time, 821 downward cross right there. Got multiple short signals kind of telling you, hey, this thing's ready to sell off. So again, uptrend failed. Now we can go look for another downtrend to see how far back we're going to roll. All right. So we'll grab that same bottom that we just stopped at. Now that's where we're starting. Here was our big uptrend. We rode all the way up here to the very tip top at that 134 level. So we started down here. We stopped up here. And that's our uptrend. We failed right about where that 821 cross happened, a little bit afterwards, right near where we got 2 under the 21 EMA. Now we can look at mathematical levels on the way down. First mathematical level was $82, 81 and some change-ish. That's a basic level right there of the 236. Not very well spoken for in history. Usually the 236 tends to fail. It may hold up at first, which it did try to do back here, but didn't. And you had some support right here for it to try. It just blew right through it, right? Then we go back in history and look a little bit more, and you can see there's some chop through here. This helps to create support when you're above the price or resistance when you're under the price. And as you see, we are still above that level for now. So that level acts as support. And that's about $60 on Netflix. So that's why I have that box drawn right there. I still think it's possible we go all the way down to that lower box. And if I add in some other moving averages here, which I didn't have on the screen, you'll see that we're underneath the 50 and the 100 moving average as well on the weekly. Blew right through them very, very aggressively. If I put the 200 moving average in there, which is kind of like a magnet, as you see, she's fishing down here at about $63 a share. Brutal. If I flip it to monthly, that's also the monthly 50 moving average, which it looks to be angling back to, as you can see there. Fair enough. That's why I think while the Netflix has a discount and Netflix is way, way sold off, it could still go farther. And add into the fact that they're in a heated debate right now about whether they're going to be able to buy Warner Brothers or Paramount will be able to buy Warner Brothers. Both of them are vying for it. Both of them want to be able to buy the rights to all of the streaming options that they have. And everybody knows that Netflix is the biggest streaming platform, right? So they want to buy it. I don't think they want to go with Netflix. I think they want to sell it to Paramount. The money's getting huge. things are popping off and happening. On a daily chart, she's also been mega oversold for a while now, just kind of idling at oversold. And we look at the weekly there on the RSI, you're all the way down to 23. Now, as I said, we got all the way down to 18.5 before, so don't think this thing can't go lower. It can. RSI stands for Relative Strength Index. It's very low at the moment. The MACD is pointing toward lower than in 2022, which is very, very interesting. It went from super high to super low in a hurry. So, are we going to get to that $60 level? I think it's fully possible. As you see, we do have chop back here way back in the day from 2021 and 2020 to help catch the price there if that's where it falls. All right. And if I flip this into linear, that's the last thing I'll show you. We are sitting right on the 50 fib in linear mode. So if this 50 fib holds, no $60 price. We come back up here and we challenge the 382 again at $90. If this 50 fib fails, we are doomed to head toward that $60 region. It's as simple as that. Those two options to me seem to be the most viable. On top of that, if I take fibs from the bottom right here in 2025, which was our last higher low, and I pull them to the top, we start to get into the take profit fibs right about in there as well, that $50 to $70 range, all through there, 68, 61, and 50, all become price targets to me. I think that's where Netflix may end up going. And I say all this because I think it's a good opportunity. I don't think Netflix is going anywhere. Netflix continues to put out content constantly. I do think they want that Warner Brothers deal. They want that big, big chunk of streaming revenue that Warner Brothers would have backing in behind it with all the content to add to their library. At the same time, you might not get it. It is what it is. I mean, they're going to have to make it through the FTC and they're going to have to approve this because it's sort of a monopolization. There's a bunch of sedimentary stuff in the background that's going to have to be washed out. But I think slowly but surely you're going to see one of those two finally get the big push. And the way Netflix looks right now, it doesn't look like they're going to get it if you were asking me based on the charts. I need to see some action. I need to see some volume. I need to see a break back north. For me, I can't buy this yet. Even though it's showing some promises of maybe slowing down and turning back up here, it's still too risky for me at the moment. All right, cool. I just heard my Netflix dinging, and I can't do that while we're streaming. So people aren't realizing that I'm streaming. I'm sorry. I can't answer those right now. Can't do that right now. Let me check and make sure all my platforms are working, and we appear to be working everywhere. We're working everywhere? Yeah, we're working everywhere. What's up, ARS Vita Media? Good to see you. Good to see you, brother. So, I don't think, let me see if Paramount has a ticker. Let me look it up real quick. PSKY. All right, so yeah, that's correct. This is on the NASDAQ. So this is the Paramount chart. So while we saw how bad Netflix looks, look how bad Paramount looks. My goodness. They've been getting butchered. So, damn, let's chart this out a little bit here. This is tough. So you had a big, big fall off. My goodness, from $100 all the way down to $10. They lost 90% of the value. Wow. No wonder they sold a bunch of stuff. Oh, goodness gracious. Make sure I got the right ticker because this is tough. No, that's not right. I got another one. I don't think that's right either. Yeah, that's right. 1096. No. Yeah, PSKY was correct. They're a subsidiary of a bigger company, so that's correct. Goodness, what a brutal looking chart. So even if Paramount gets this, look how bad it looks. My gosh, it's been absolutely butchered. And for what it's worth, if we're trying to compare it to Netflix, this is way worse. It's down 47% on the local. And my gosh, it's down 90, nearly 90% from its high back in 2021. Just an absolute brutal chart for Paramount. And if we go all the way back to the history of it, back to 2008, and we pull some charts on this, pull fibs up, we are bouncing around in the golden pocket, but that's all it's got going for it. It's just sitting here idle. It's sitting here idle on the base, not doing too much at all. And while I could say, yeah, it's going to bounce and do something, I've seen no signs that we have anything yet. We can draw a trend line on this like so. Linear log, I don't think it's going to matter here. She's pinned no matter what we do. No matter what, she's stuck. 821, she's in the wait a minute zone on the daily here. But that's it. Let me add this to my watch list here. I like to keep this. When I'm finding something that's interesting, I like to keep it on my watch list to make sure I don't forget it. And I'll be comparing this with the Netflix one in the future. So 821, you're in the wait a minute zone right here. And I'll zoom in that for you so you can see it a little bit better right there. There you go. 821 EMA wait a minute zone, which is just 2 candles over the 8, but you don't have that 821 EMA cross yet. And warning, trend line. You could be failing that. So it's a wait a minute zone. Just wait a minute and let's see what the price does rather than freak out over 1% or 2%. You know what I mean? It's kind of the way I like to do it. Just use the wait a minute zone to be a little bit more safe than you were before. Help make better decisions and not rash decisions. Also, if we look at the cloud here, she's still 4 out of 4 no on the cloud. You have a red cloud on the end. That's no good. That ain't going to get it. You want that to be green. It's red. You have a lag line way under the candles. That needs to be over the candles. You have the blue line, which is the conversion line, underneath the red line, which is the baseline. That ain't going to get it. And last but not least, the price, actual price, needs to be over the cloud, not under it. It's under it. So 4 out of 4 no there for Paramount. Netflix and Paramount both look bad. Who's going to come out on top? We're going to see in the next 4 weeks as they work out the rest of those details. I think that's going to come out to be important. Is what it is though, right? Let's go over to some bigger stuff here. And let's pull up the S&P 500. So, all right. I've got the S&P 500 pulled up here now. Why is this important? Well, it's the biggest market in the world. That's why. So, for now, we're still driving sideways as we have been since October. Price is basically unchanged. A lot of uncertainty about what's going on. So the market's just drove sideways. Make a nice wedge here, just doing nothing. And I kind of expect the same consolidation to continue. You got a trend line up, you got a trend line down. It all looks like it's beating its brains against the wall, trying to figure out what it wants to do. It is holding the 100 moving average, as you see, but we're stuck underneath the 50 and the 821 EMA to the top side. So has some support. It has some resistance. It's driving dead head first in a wall. Not much to see there. How about the NASDAQ? Similar story here. So not as good as the S&P 500. Underneath the 8 EMA. While you have fought to keep going up here, she didn't hold on last week. Failing underneath the 8 EMA sucked. Was doing well, holding on to the 100. Failed it. Now you're just back testing this so far. And for what it's worth, looks to be pointing toward that 200 moving average, which is looming down there at about $24,000. That's a distinct possibility to get hit, especially if this thing continues to just consolidate sideways. That 200 moving average will eventually catch up. Not much juice there. The Dow Jones. So the Dow Jones is a culmination of a whole bunch of assets. Bands are starting to narrow out here. They were very tight in the back, and now they've popped north. That's what happens when Bollinger Bands get tight. Volatility increases. That's exactly what you saw right there. Tight bands, and they popped. All right, cool. So how about the Ichimoku cloud? You're still 4 out of 4 on the cloud. Why? You got a green cloud on the end. You have the blue line, which is the conversion, over the baseline, which is the red. Perfect. You have the lag line over the candles. It can be either over or under. It's over. That's what we need to see. And the last candle on the right is green. You have 4 out of 4. You have exactly what you need. Great stuff. Dow Jones. Some of the best looking charts are over there in the traditional equities world, not in the crypto world, which we'll talk about now. Perfect. So first things first, let's start off the crypto analysis here with Bitcoin. Continues to do absolutely nothing. Not enough volume to speak of down here. So we have the short-term trend line right here at this green line, as you see. Still holding up the price. It has yet to get loose and get going. Still continues to fade and not do much. That's also the conversion line, the blue line right there that you see. Hasn't jumped over that. Lag line is still under the candles. Cloud is still red on the end. You're still a mile away from having the conversion line and the baseline together. Add in the fact that your AEMA is in the same spot. It's in the same spot as the conversion line. Not great. More resistance there. Still butting its head against the wall. Pivot lines, even if you do get above it, S2 is at 70,000, kind of holding up the line right here, as you see. And on the bottom side, you've already tagged S3 one time. That continues to be a target if you do not break the trend. That trend needs to break, and that trend needs to break soon, because if it doesn't, it's going to be forced down lower. These pivots will reset at the end of the month, and they will come in lower again. Something like that. Don't want to see that, but that looks like where it's trending towards. It's just not good enough. Doesn't have enough juice in the tank yet. Speaking of that, how about the MACD? You have turned back north. Great, but you're still way below the midline, and you have very, very minimal volume. We need more volume to push up out of this hole. You can't turn the tide without a big push. Super overbought condition, the most overbought it had been in a long time. That has since corrected itself, and you've popped back up in the nominal trading zone. Not much else to speak about with it. Being in this nominal trading zone doesn't mean too much. We are still under 40. You'd like to see it get over 40 so it can progress up toward 50, but it isn't even to 40 yet. So again, it's kind of stuck in the mud. Last thing here, even if it does get over this trend line that you see, we can probably throw another trend line in there somewhere and say it's got to get over that one too. So, I still think we're going sideways and down for the most part for the rest of the year. We may have some momentary shots of up there. I'm hoping we have some momentary shots of up there, but there's really no guarantee that happens. We need to keep an eye on it and see if this turns the right way for us. But so far, no dice. And I can flip it to weekly real quick. There you see a whole bunch of nothing on the weekly. Throw up the moving averages, and that 200 moving average continues to loom ominously down there at about 58,350 toward that 56,000 region. If I put that in linear mode, that's going to be 58,000. 57 to 58,000 is right there at the golden pocket. Again, if we come down there, boy, that's a big fall off. And yes, it could get worse from there, but I'm to expect at some point this thing has to try to recover something. And I can pull a weekly trend line right there and say, if you break that trend line, well, we're in business. So far, no mas. We need that trend line to break. And when it does, I'm here for it. We can put that in log mode and pull the trend line. It's going to go a little bit farther in log mode, but still be something similar. So not great. Not great. Not great on the home front for Bitcoin is what it is. So XRP, we do this every single week. It's Google Trends tells me that XRP is the number one thing that people look at when they come to the channel. What's interesting is I'm not the hopium guy. I'm not the guy going to come in here and tell you that these amazing prices are going to happen. I'm going to give you a scenario and say, here's what could happen. And here's the other side of what could happen. You be the judge. And I can kind of give some probabilities based on that. But I'm never going to come in here and tell you, oh, the price is going to go flying up. That's just not who we are here. We will monitor it and watch it very closely, and we're happy to tell everybody when things look good. However, they are not great. All right, so first things first, trend line. You haven't broken that short-term trend. You're still stuck underneath it. Next, 821 EMA. Guess what? Yep, You're under both of those. Not going to get it. How about the pivot points? So pivot points all the way up at 185, and then you're under S1 right now. S2 is holding on. It's a very tight range. You need to break $1.50 and hold on to it before that really moves the needle. How about the Ichimoku cloud? 4 out of 4. Nope. Sorry.
Gotcha, bitch.
She's stuck at the moment. Red on the cloud on the end. That's not going to get it. It needs to be green. Blue under the red. That's wrong. That needs to be blue over the red. Lag line under the candles. Wrong.
Wrong.
Needs to be the other way around. Needs to be over the candles. And last but not least, the price needs to be above the cloud. And it is not. Sorry. Hate to break it to you, but it looks bad. Yeah, it can get better, right? Doesn't take much to push this thing back. You've had little to no volume after that big fall off. Big fall off got you that oversold condition, which I'll pull up and show you now. Right there. Big oversold condition. You had XRP all the way down to 16 on the RSI. Buying opportunity through there for it. I'm not messing around with altcoins right now. And your MACD, again, you're in the green on volume, but it's tapering slow volume and it's not enough. And while you have crossed upward on the MACD, you're still nowhere near the midline. You have some signs that thing may want to go sideways instead of down all the way, but you don't have enough yet to really move the needle. And then the weekly, of course, again, I kind of expect this thing to go sideways and down for the remainder of the year. We're going to have some spikes in price, and I'll show you what I mean here. This is going to be a very messy chart. I'm sorry, but bear with me. I'm trying to be descriptive while I'm sharing it, okay? We got very close with our estimated targets last time. I thought it could get up there toward the $7 mark. I was also not so optimistic about that happening. I even wrote right here, optimal long-term take profit zone. Not likely, and this was a 11/18/24 update, more likely now. And then 7/12/25, definitely going to happen now. And as you see, twice we hit that box. We didn't really have that big, long, hardcore push that you wanted to see, and now she's tapered off and slowed down some. That being said, we can go back and monitor all the lows that we had and all the little miniature highs that we had all through the history of XRP, and you're going to find that it's very, very rhythmic, all right? We are in this range right now toward low number 1, all right? That's shortly after the show is over and after halving and your push up and then your last push up. Then you get this slow, drawn out low 1, drag, 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 low 2, drag, 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 low 3. And you can see we've got short-term ups in here sometimes, but that's about it. They're just short-term ups. And for what it's worth, not much happened until we got all the way over here toward our buy zone, which was shortly after halving. Guess what? That is way over here in 2028. That's a long way, folks. Sorry. Now, does that mean that there's no gains in this? That's not what it means at all. It means it could have some gains in here, but they just might not be worth it for the time being. All right, I'm going to remove these fibs. I can put them back up later. That makes it a little easier for you to be able to see. As I said, there we are. Low number 1. We're approaching it now. And I wrote next high right here because it tends to be in between the two lows. And then we tend to get a high in there somewhere. Where? Well, likely a lower high. At least that's what I hope. That would kind of signify that this thing is working correctly before we get that big push down going into the summer. I do think there will be some sort of upward movement in the summer. It might not be what people want or think they're going to get, but it is what it is. I don't think people understand that it doesn't matter what you want. It matters what the market will give you. There's nothing that you can do about it. Oh, they're going to do this and the government's going to do that. Stop. No, they're not. No, they're not. You know better than that. You really think the government would hand all their money over to a private company? Really?
Damn.
Really?
God damn.
If that's what you think,
Pause.
come on.
Bruh.
Seriously?
Come on, man.
I know. That's not going to happen. So what can happen? Well, they can integrate and work with, but we've been hearing that shit since I got into crypto back in 2016, 2018. So no, I'm not a believer in all the hype. I stick to the charts. I stick to the facts. And this is why. You're going to see all this slowly start to play out. I think we can hit $1 down here. I think if we hold $1, we'll be in all right shape. We'll see how far it gets. If we go back down to $1, I think that might be the low that we get. We'll see. Fingers crossed that's the low. We'll assess it as we get there. And hopefully people understand I'm not just pitching bull here and I'm trying to be honest with them. That's the way I like to be. I try to be as factual and as honest as I can. You know what I mean? So we've already hit 30 minutes. God, that went by fast, didn't it? Damn, that went by fast. I wasn't expecting that. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. I'm going to start doing an hour on Tuesday. And we'll do requests. I want people to jump in and request whatever chart they want to on Tuesdays. And we'll try to keep it popping and get the viewership back up. It's terrible right now. People have swapped over to betting and gambling money on Kalshi and Polymarket. And I understand that. That'll eventually change. So little by little, we're dragging on. We're going to see things change here over the next couple of weeks. Eyes on everything. I got my eyes on Netflix and a couple others. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Time for Zoom with the fellas. I'm out. Sky's the limit. Peace.